Welcome to JVR Industries. Today we're going to go over how to replace your valve assembly on your JVR Vac100 chamber vacuum sealer. Now before you get started, I would suggest grabbing some 4x4s. They're the length of the machine a little bit longer than what I have here, and you'll need 3 of those. 1 the width and 2 the length. That way you have 3. Lift that machine up onto those 4x4s, and before doing that, obviously unplug the unit. Once you get the unit up onto the 4x4s, you can take that 3mm Allen that you got with your unit, unfasten these bottom 3 Allen screws on the base of the back panel, and then you're ready to hinge the unit forward. And then we're ready to start the process on how to replace your valve assembly. Stay tuned. Before you get started, of course, you're going to need that 3mm Allen wrench as mentioned prior. Also number 2 Phillips, a flathead screwdriver, and this unique right angle number 2 screwdriver. It's kind of like a ratcheting right angle. You can find this in the link below. This is really useful when it comes to unscrewing the screws at the base of the frame. So the first thing we're going to want to do is remove the hoses. And to do that, you're going to need your flathead screwdriver. First, of course, you're going to remove the hose clamps. Okay, now that the hose clamps are removed, you're ready to pull off these gray hoses and the hose that runs the vacuum sensor board on vacuum sensor on the control board. So go ahead and take that flathead, and you're just going to work it around inside the mouth of that hose as much as possible by breaking through the silicone that's adhering the vacuum hose to the valve assembly. Now before you get started on this process, if you're concerned about breaking the hose, it's not a bad idea to have extra hose on hand, but it's not necessarily essential unless you've starting to experience some type of dry rot with the hosing. A really good length when you initially get the unit. Before I get started on this smaller diameter hose, I'm going to go ahead and remove the hose to the vacuum sensor on the control board, and there's a little blue pushback here for that hose, and that's easy to remove. Okay, once again I'm going to go back to this hose here, which is going to be a little bit harder to get to. Okay, as you can see, I kind of slit that one. That one was a bit harder to get off this nozzle, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a razor, clean that up. Okay, that's all cleaned up. And since this is all removed, all I need to do is remove this wiring. So I'm going to take my number 2 Phillips and remove the black box off the top of the control board, so I can access the wiring to remove. Okay, so you should see the third one over, these 2 yellow wires coming out of that. You're going to go ahead and pop that screw off, make it loose, and pop out those wires. And then the 2 red wires coming from those valves as well on the 1st and 4th from that side. And we're going to remove those as well. Okay, now that that's all ready, that's all removed, I'm going to go ahead and take my right angle number 2 Phillips ratchet screwdriver and go underneath and remove this sucker. Caution, make sure that before you do this, your Vac100 is nice and center on your 4x4s before placing your hands under the unit like this. Okay, now that this is removed, you're going to grab your replacement valve assembly. Now, you are going to find that this valve assembly does not have silicone on it, neither do your hoses. And that's going to be a great question. So, will you need that silicone to reinstall? Absolutely not. The silicone is used during the manufacturing process to ensure that there's no vacuum leaks at the hose points or connection points. So you should not be concerned with that. Just simply sliding on the hose will be sufficient enough to get the vacuum you need. So these nuts are right where they need to be. And on this valve assembly, you see these two holes. Go ahead and line those up with this. And to do that, I like to take my 3mm Allen wrench, go into the base of the frame, slide this through to align the hole to the position. Once those are aligned, I'll do one at a time. I kind of hold this in place, don't let it move, slide the screw into that hole and just quickly thumb screw it in, and then hit the next hole once that's loosely screwed into this on the one point, and hit the next point with that right angle screwdriver. So the first one is a bit easier because you can feed that 3mm in and you can feel the hole instantaneously. Piece of cake. Now I'm just going to put some pressure on the top of this, and I'm going to grab that screw and just feed it through that hole, no problem. Okay, so the first screw is already in, set to go. Now I'm going to go ahead and once again take that 3mm Allen wrench, lift up this side of the valve assembly, and get through that hole once I find it. And once you find it, should be a piece of cake to find that hole. So once I got that, I'm going to hold that in position. Take that screw that I originally removed off of the valve assembly and quickly fasten it by my thumb. Once that's partially in there, I'm ready to hit it with my ratcheting number 2 Phillips, right angle. Once again, just be careful as you're installing this not to move these 4x4s, causing them to slip, because that could cause the unit to fall on you. We're just going to do this in reverse, so sliding all these hoses on, super easy. It doesn't take much time. Just make sure that these hoses go on tight and they don't pull out like this one that goes to the vacuum sensor. These wires are going to hook up to the original spot. So like this yellow one here, I'm just going to quickly fasten those. And then to trace out these ones, you'll just have to feed back through here. If you can't see through this cover, you'll just have to remove this, uncoil it, and follow that PDF. I'll show a little screenshot here at the end so that you guys can quickly trace where it needs to go on this control board. Once that's complete, the hoses are refastened with the hose clamps using your flathead, and this control board cover is back on. You can go ahead and close off the unit, refasten those 3mm Allen screws at the base of the back of the frame, and you are set to run your JVR Vac100. So thank you so much for watching JVR Industries on YouTube. Feel free to subscribe and hit the thumbs up below, and leave a comment if this video helped you out. We want to thank you guys so much for choosing JVR Industries as your vacuum packaging specialist. You guys have a wonderful day.